Hi, Linda Sessions here, and we are getting ready to start week 6, or we're in week 6 here, and I wanted to talk with you a little bit about what's happening this week. You were looking at preparing data and writing reports. You're not going to be writing a big report, so you can breathe. It's okay. You do have a discussion board, so make sure you take care of that and reply to a fellow student to get full credit for that. Want to know a little bit about why does managing and visualizing data matter to me? There's a couple of questions here just to prepare you for the chapters. Chapter 9, Managing and Visualizing Data. It's going to give you an overview and looking at why you should manage and visualize data as you're working on reports and putting information together for your job, as well as writing reports. Now, when you are writing reports, you want to make sure that you use business English. You want to always go back and reread your reports and make sure you don't have any spelling or grammatical or formatting errors. You want your reports to be as professional looking as possible. And so that's what some of this is going to be going over. Now, last week in Module 5, you looked at how to craft written messages. We talked about neutral and positive messages. We looked at persuasive messages, and we also looked at bad news messages. So different ways you can communicate with your customers, with your colleagues, with your peers. And you're going to be using the information from Module 5 combined with this information here in Module 6 in this communication in retail paper. Now, this communication in retail paper is really very simple. But sometimes when things are so simple, that's when people mess up. So let's take a look at this communication in retail paper. What I am looking for, what I expect from you. So here in this paper, you're going to first analyze consumer emails. Now this is a two-part. So the first part, you're going to be looking at this email example 1 and email example 2. So these are customers who have negative feedback to a company. They've had a bad experience with a company and they've sent emails. These are two different customers. Which one is a proper way to do a negative message and which one is improper? And what makes the proper and the improper communication? I don't just want to see this one's proper, this one's improper. Well, what makes it that way? What makes example number 1 the proper or improper? What makes example number 2 proper or improper? So you might think about the 3-paragraph style essay. You know, the first one, the first paragraph. This is what I'm going to be showing you. This is the example. These are some of the I'm going to be showing you why example 1 is proper with these characteristics and example 2 is improper with these characteristics, or example 1 is improper with these characteristics. And then the second paragraph, this is what I see in example 1 and this is why I'm making the choice. And the third paragraph, this is why I see in example 2 and why I'm making this choice. And actually for this one, it would be 4 paragraphs because then you need a closing paragraph. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to look at your communication. So you're going to have an opening paragraph, a paragraph about example 1, a paragraph about example 2, and then a closing paragraph. I'm not asking you to rewrite these emails. I don't want you to change the writing. I want you to analyze. You're going to analyze these papers and write a report on why they are proper or improper, why it's effective, why it's ineffective. So that's the first part. Second part, now I want you to write a response email. So you do have a paper, and now I want you to think, you put yourself in the company's shoes. And I want you to write a professional email addressing the concerns raised in whichever one, example 1 or example 2, whichever one you feel is the proper email. And you need to think about restoring that customer's faith in your company. So you might have to do a little bit of, well, I call it stroke kick, when you're dealing with somebody and you're like so irritated with them. And so you say some things that this is right, this is right, this is right, this is what you need to do. I want you, here in the instructions, acknowledge what their issue is in some way. Apologize to them. Offer a solution. Reinforce your commitment. Now, I want you to write this up. You're not going to be sending an email, but I want you to write this and format it as an email. So you're going to have a subject line. What would you put in the subject line? Okay. What would you put in your email signature at the end? Would you just write your name? Or would you include some contact information? Now, one thing that I see a lot when students do this is they don't tell the customer how to contact them. They say, hey, we will send you a new part, but that's it. Well, how does the customer tell you that they want the new part or where to send the part? Okay, so make sure that you give the customer all the information that they need. I want you to put some thought into this. It's real obvious if a student is just going through this, last minute, I'm just going to throw this thing together. You're not going to get full points for that, okay? I want you to put some thought into this. Again, it should be more than just one paragraph. It should be, maybe 3 paragraphs. Again, acknowledging them, apologizing. That might be 1 paragraph, and then what's your solution, how they should contact you, and then a closing, reinforcing your commitment to the customer. So that would be 3 paragraphs. And then again, don't forget, what all do you need in that email signature at the end of your email? So you're going to be submitting your analysis from part 1, and then you're also going to be submitting their response email. Now, they can both be in one document, but that document's going to be more than 1 page. But you don't have to submit 2 different documents. You can submit just 1 document with all the information. You can see the analysis is going to be 40 points. Your response email is 40 points. Grammar, spelling, and formatting from both together is 20 points. So this is a 100-point paper. So put some thought in it. Now, it is due on July 21st. So you have a couple of weeks to do this. You don't have to do it real quick, but that's when it's due. So let's see, come back here. This week, in week 6, you can see you've got chapters 9 and chapters 10. And then you have that, you can start working on that communication in retail paper. Again, that is not due until the 21st, but I want to give you ample time to be able to do a good job. Make sure that you format it and think about what you're stating in that. As always, reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'm here for you. And I hope that you are having a good week.